And I am back. Thankfully, my goodness, it was a little bit of a process. I went down with unexpected surgery. I know that you all who keep up with me on my social media, we've already talked about this, and I am so very thankful to be back and doing what I love to do, making these videos for you all, interacting with you all. So glad to be back. And I want to thank you all. Several of you reached out to me with your thoughts and your prayers, and I truly felt those and appreciated those. Here's what happened. I was actually me and Miss Whitdock's on our way northeast to do a lot of filming. I guess the good thing, silver lining, is I got sick on the very last day. So the good news of that is I got all the filming done, so didn't miss out on any videos. So those will be on the way. We made stops in Baltimore, Manhattan. We actually made it to New York City, Massachusetts, New Jersey, even filmed up in Maine, also Connecticut. We hit Connecticut as well. So, and like I said, got all that done. So I'm so glad to be bringing that to you. If this is your first time on my channel, I normally don't start out this way, but I wanted to say hello and thank you, all the well wishes, all of my subscribers. You'll never know what your kind words meant to me. So some great stuff coming. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to see those. I do cemetery videos, memorials, things like that. Interesting places to see, so I love bringing that to you. And a lot of stuff on the way. So again, thank you all. And now today's story is one I have wanted to bring you all for a long time. We are actually going to Spring Grove Cemetery in Cincinnati, Ohio. And this story deals with the original resting place of the man who played Superman on TV many, many years ago. We're going to take a look at his life, take a look at his story, and the controversy surrounding that. Again, so glad to be back. Thank you all for sticking with me. I plan on making May a very big month, and I'm going to hit the ground running. We're going to hit it hard. Please like and subscribe if you haven't, and let's go right now to Spring Grove Cemetery in Cincinnati, Ohio. In June of 1951, producers were looking for an actor to fill the role of Superman in the new television series, The Adventures of Superman. And when George Reeves was offered the role, he was reluctant, feeling that television work was not important in the scope of entertainment and that nobody would see his work. Before the role of Superman, George Reeves had already established himself in films. As a matter of fact, his very first role was in the timeless classic Gone with the Wind. He signed a contract with Warner Brothers and appeared in several B movies. He would move on to 20th Century Fox, but that was dissolved after just a few films. Reeves would go on to appear in 5 Hopalong Cassidy films before appearing in So Proudly We Hail, a war drama. After this film, it was said that he was inspired to join the Army, which put his career on hold. After being discharged, he moved to New York City for a time to work on live television anthology programs and do some radio work before returning to Hollywood, which brings us to the role that he would become best known, Superman. Before the television series began, Reeves appeared as Superman in the B picture Superman and the Mole Men, which was simultaneously the pilot of the new show. In the summer of 1951, Reeves, as well as the rest of the production team, shot all of the first season's episodes over the course of 13 weeks. In 1952, the show was picked up by ABC, which would introduce Reeves to the masses. Although the cast had very restrictive contracts during filming, which basically prevented them from taking other jobs, Reeves was able to make personal appearances as Superman. It was said that he would take his status as a role model very seriously. Although he portrayed the part well, Reeves didn't feel as if it was a serious role and even stated that he would feel better about it if he knew he had adult fans, not realizing how popular the show was with the demographic. After 2 seasons, Reeves told producers that he wanted to quit, stating that he was dissatisfied with what he felt was a one-dimensional role. A salary increase helped change his mind. Towards the end of the series run, Reeves would travel with a group reprising his role for live audiences and would even sing as himself out of costume. The Adventures of Superman would run for 104 episodes over 6 seasons. George Reeves would actually be born as George Brewer on January 5, 1914 in Iowa. Reeves' parents separated soon after he was born, and he moved with his mother from Iowa to Ashland, Kentucky for a time, eventually making it to Galesburg, Illinois. Reeves and his mother moved to California, where she met and married someone. Reeves' father would remarry in 1925, and at that time, it was said that Reeves never saw his father again. While in California, he became interested in acting, thus beginning the career that we have been looking into so far. However, even with the accolades that he received throughout his career and everything that was accomplished by Reeves, his death cast an eerie shadow over all of it. And that is why we have been looking at footage of the structure within Spring Grove Cemetery in Cincinnati, Ohio. The structure, which is known as the White Pine Chapel, briefly held the final remains of Superman himself, George Reeves. How did that come to be? Let's look at this very interesting and very strange story. On June 16, 1959, George Reeves died of a self-inflicted shot to the head in the upstairs bedroom of his home. News articles at the time alleged that he was dissatisfied with what he felt was a failed career and took his own life. It seems that all of those theories stemmed from a witness referred to as Miss Lemon, which is said to have been Reeves' fiancée, that placed her in the living room of the home with other guests. However, that statement does not line up with hearsay comments from other guests that were there. These statements would place her a lot closer to the crime scene, perhaps even inside the bedroom. This, along with other questionable findings, such as no fingerprints recovered from the firearm, no gunpowder residue on Reeves' hands, really muddy the waters on what truly happened. Despite this and other questionable findings, it was ruled that he had taken his own life. His mother was completely dissatisfied with the ruling and even retained a lawyer for a new investigation into the death. After a second autopsy was performed, the case was withdrawn. So now that we've looked into the death, how did we end up here in Cincinnati? Reeves' maternal grandparents are buried in this beautiful Spring Grove Cemetery. Reeves' mother, who absolutely disagreed with the findings and reopened the case, had the remains of George Reeves moved here to Cincinnati, where the second autopsy was performed. After the second autopsy was performed, he was placed in the White Pine Chapel, which is where we are today. White Pine Chapel was used as a holding vault while awaiting burial. Reeves' mother sent a telegraph to Spring Grove Cemetery instructing them to bury his remains in the same plot as her parents, while she had a vault made for her son, Superman. There was no room for a mausoleum that she had described to be built, so she had her son cremated and flown back to Hollywood. There, he was laid to rest a final time at Mountain View Cemetery in Altadena, California. Thankfully, George Reeves was finally and properly laid to rest, but not before he rested temporarily here at Spring Grove Cemetery in Cincinnati, Ohio. This story is one that has been told a lot, but I am so thankful to have visited on my channel. I constantly try to find stories and cemetery visits that you all will enjoy, and I want to thank everybody again for all the well wishes. A special thanks to all my friends over on Patreon. Thank you for believing in what I do. I would like to give a special thanks to my latest Patreon supporter, our friends over at the YouTube channel New England Graveyard. Jason does cemetery visits on that channel throughout the Northeast. I will leave a link in the description so you can check him out. I'll also link my website and Patreon in the description, and I hope to see you there. This past month has been trying for me, and I am so thankful to be back with you, my friends, with big things on the way. Once again, from Spring Grove Cemetery in Cincinnati, Ohio, I will see you again soon.